I am Mark Hummel, and this is Mark Hummel's Harmonica Party, and I'm here at Rancho Nicasio with its proprietor, Angela Strehli, Texas blues legend.
Hello.
And we go back a long ways.
I'll say.
I want to say I met you back in at Antones, and you were so nice to me.
I'm glad.
You were very nice to me. You invited me up, and you were very sweet.
Wow.
That was 1986.
Wonderful. Yeah, we weren't open that long.
Is that right?
Just 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But now it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think we got to hang out a little bit in Denmark one time when we were over at. I was with Sue Foley at the time, and
That's
we're
right.
De Jures, or however you say that.
Yeah.
In Denmark, we got stuck in some motel, I think, for a week, or I can't remember what the deal was.
Yeah, I was trying to remember that.
Yeah. And you grew up in Lubbock, is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Lubbock, Texas?
Yeah.
And that's where
high school.
Buddy Holly's from?
Yes.
Is Waylon from there?
Yes.
And who else?
Butch Hancock.
Right.
Joe Ely.
Right.
Joe Ely and I were in some classes together early on.
How did you get into music?
My family was helpful on that realm. I mean, my dad liked light classical music, Strauss waltzes and such. And my oldest brother played a French horn and bass, and my other brother is Al Strehli, and he's mostly a songwriter.
How old were you when you started singing, and how did you get into blues anyway?
Well, I don't know. I sang in church choir.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I always tell aspiring young singers, look, I didn't make high school choir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't let something like that discourage you.
Right.
Because I'm sure they were begging people to sing in that choir.
Right.
Didn't want me. I understand.
Yeah.
I think I had the flatted third and seventh in blues.
That was always there.
I think it was.
Your major scales were not in place.
I was destined. Yeah. Well,
that's good.
But I had a Zenith shortwave radio, and so late at night I could get those stations that had me scratching my head saying, wait a minute, what kind of music is this?
Yeah.
Because it grabbed me.
And do you remember which stations they were?
Well, there was
WLAC
for sure, right. John R. and the Haas Band,
right.
And there was one out of Shreveport that Ernie's record marked.
Oh yeah.
And then Wolfman Jack,
wherever
the hell he was.
Yeah, right. They say he was
illegally over the border.
Yeah, that was like. What was it, 100,000 watts?
Something like that. That could go anywhere. God knows it probably fried my brain, and I didn't know it at the time. But
I remember hearing that station in L.A.
Oh,
Believe it or not.
Definitely.
Driving through the desert, you would hear it.
That's right.
That's
Glad
amazing.
to have it. Yeah.
You heard those radio stations. Did you start buying some of the records right after that? Or
well, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what to call it, though.
Yeah.
Because I guess none of them said, well, we're playing blues and blues alone or something. No, but I did remember enough names, and I finally found record stores that might have something rather. In fact, Jimmy Reed was prominent. I mean, he would actually made it into the commercial world.
Right.
I remember young people, which I was at one time, like dancing to Jimmy Reed.
Right, I remember.
You could do the push.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I rember.
Anson talks about that all the time.
He
talks about
good.
that all the time.
I'm glad I have some backup on
that. And it seems like in Texas, Jimmy Reed was so popular. It blew my mind. The first time I played in Dallas was like 1986. And I remember it blew my mind that people were requesting Jimmy Reed and dancing to it. And I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
I mean, all bands want people out there dancing.
Yeah.
So
but to dance to Jimmy Reed was like, that was unheard of here.
Yeah.
People didn't do that like they did in Texas.
Yeah.
So it was very cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So did you start a band? Did you join a band in Lubbock, or did you move to
No,
Boston first?
I went to school in Northfield, Minnesota,
Oh,
a small
okay.
liberal arts college
All right.
named Carleton. I went there for 2 years
Mhm.
because I got a scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't because I was really academically up there, but that they started thinking they should get students that were a little bit more well-rounded as far as maybe having traveled somewhere
Oh,
and not just being studious and knowing exactly what they wanted to study in graduate school
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
No. So that was me.
So had you traveled by that time?
Well, my dad had an interesting job. He was a professor of Spanish. My mother was born in Puerto Rico. Her mother was from Spain, and her father was from New England.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how they end up in
Vermont.
Lubbock?
Well, he needed a job,
Right.
and somehow he was in one other place, Texas A&M,
Right.
which is the Aggies of Texas, and
Right.
it was really,
And where's Texas?
That was really-
Where's Texas A&M? Is that?
it's down there in the southeast. So
What's-
that was really foreign to my father.
Was that like
and
Houston?
mother.
Houston area?
Well, that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, my father ended up getting a job there at Texas Tech, which became a university, so-called university.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
but he taught Spanish.
No
Some
wonder you
French.
speak Spanish
Well,
so
that's
well.
my unexcused. I have no
Yeah,
excuse
yeah,
not to. But my mother was bilingual,
Yeah.
having been born where she was,
Right.
and so they met because she was a native speaker one summer at Middlebury College, and my
Interesting.
dad was there learning. So
Yeah.
that was when they got together.
So when you were in Minnesota going to college, did you get more into music there, or how?
I did, because they had, the best thing about that school is they had wonderful groups that came through and played in the chapels, as it were, because that was the best sounding room, that's
Right.
for sure. It wasn't a gym or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw everybody from Thelonious Monk to Art Blakey
Wow.
to Doc Watson
Too much.
and you know that.
So they had some
and
good.
then,
They had some good bookers,
You bet. And Kerner Ray and Glover
right?
were based up there
In Minneapolis.
Minneapolis,
Right.
yeah. And so they were cool, and they
Yeah.
came down at least once, and so
Yeah.
that opened my eyes. And I got to see Spider John in Santa Fe one time for
Right.
I don't know what reason, but
Really?
he was. You can kind of tell he's kind of a.
A wild one.
He just has that mischievous look in his eye, you know, like he's kind of looking for trouble.
That's
you know,
great.
and he knows
That's
how to
great.
find it.
Yeah. Like most blues people. So, so you were there for 2 years, and you got to see all these different
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah.
Did you start kind of working with people there, or
No.
really wasn't until Austin that
Yeah.
you really?
Yeah.
Drinking.
You know what? I came to appreciate the cultures in Texas.
Right.
You got it. I don't know what it is now, but back then it was like a third Anglo, which
Right.
is what we used to say,
Right.
and a third Latino and a third Black.
Right.
And so
So
that
it's
was
a good mix. Yeah.
Where we lived, there was a Baptist church, the Macedonia Baptist Church, and so we went to church every Sunday. That's when I learned about singers,
Right. Yeah.
firsthand. Of course, I loved
That's
records and
great.
everything,
Yeah.
and they were cool. There was some cool stuff.
But you
coming
got some
out.
real cultural experience.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And those voices were wonderful, and the piano player and organist in that church, and of course the preacher. He was quite an entertainer. He
Right.
had the moves, and he had the, he didn't sing per se, but he sort of
But he
sang.
sang in a way, yeah,
That's right.
like C.L. Franklin kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was all wonderful.
So how long were you in San Antonio?
Just for that summer, I was supposed to be registering for my classes at the University of Texas, Austin. And they asked us if me and my buddy, my roommate, could just stay for one more day or 2 more days. And so we thought, well, we didn't have to register at any particular hour of the day. You know, there were certain days that you could, before the school started, the classes started. So we stayed there. Well, that's when the shooter was up in the tower of the administration building where we were supposed to be registered for our classes. That's what we thought. I mean, that's a weird thing.
That's serious good luck on your part.
I know.
Jesus.
It's also a weird feeling, you know.
That is really weird.
God, you know, some people died and, you know, and we weren't there and we were supposed to be there.
Wasn't he the first, mass shooter?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, lucky you. We're glad you're still here.
Thank you.
Okay, and what was your major?
Sociology, psychology.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what was the scene like in '66?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was lively and it was, you know, it was exciting.
Did you start singing in clubs that early, or was it later?
No, but I started going out and hearing music and.
Were you playing the harmonica then?
Well, yeah, that was the
thing.
You? Oh, I didn't want to sing. I didn't.
You wanted to just play the harmonica?
I did not intend to sing. I had no reason.
That's interesting.
To even think that way. Really, wow. I mean, I just felt like I had some great voice or something.
But you got
harmonica and bass. Oh,
really?
I love playing bass.
Okay.
Yeah, I still get a huge kick.
I have no idea.
I have played informally on stage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I loved it.
I mean, didn't it feel like it was such a tiny little kind of scene?
Oh, yeah.
At that time?
Well, even so tiny that
back then, especially.
There was no place, there was hardly any place to play.
Right.
And we even went out to LA for a few months.
Did you?
Because that's where things were happening. Right. I mean, you either had to go to New York or LA if you were
Chicago,
thinking that maybe that you could be get into recording or whatever.
Right.
You know. So that's.
So you guys did that?
Yeah, we got away with it. You know, long enough to get to go to the Ash Grove and the Troubadour.
That's right.
And actually performed at both of those places.
Did you really?
Those were bona fide. Those were wonderful clubs.
Absolutely.
And
Ash Grove was the first place I ever saw blues acts.
But Austin finally. Well, that's one reason that Clifford Antone started Antones. Is the place. He was interested. Well, he was from Port Arthur, so they had nothing but the blues down there. Literally, you know.
That's where Janis Joplin.
It was all refineries. Yes, she escaped there early on. I met her when she was coming through Austin to go to the West Coast.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Somehow, you know, it's just some of the
So
people
what was that? 67 or 66?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
So
I heard Chet Helms is the one who was from Texas that got her. California.
Yeah, he was. He knew what to do.
What did you think of her? What was your opinion of Janis Joplin?
Oh, I did get to see her live, and she was wonderful. She was amazing. You know, I couldn't believe it. And,
really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
you mean just because she was so? She was so in your face with it.
Yeah, and I saw her up here at. in San Francisco at the Matrix.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
And then I got to play at. Whatever, a couple of different places, but anyway, I remember Pee Wee Creighton.
Do you?
What a sweet guy!
Yeah, he was a great guy.
You know, and Johnny Otis.
Right.
Was at his house.
Were you?
Shuggy was
in LA?
A caller or something.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was very supportive.
Yeah.
But we were so low down.
You guys were?
Yeah. I mean,
did he dig you?
You know, because the West Coast was a little bit sophisticated compared to Texas.
So did he dig you guys?
He did, but he didn't know what to do with us.
He didn't know.
But he was nice enough. I mean,
that's funny.
He recorded a few songs.
So that's interesting. So you met Janis. We weren't friends or anything, but you at least got to see her and meet her.
Yeah. And she was with a harp player. She was involved with the
that was the guy from Mother Earth.
No, not Powell.
You sure?
I'm sure that Powell did play. He played in Mother Earth. Yeah.
Right. I think
so Tracy Nelson.
Right. I knew Tracy.
I met Tracy for the first time out there.
Did you?
Yes.
In Austin?
No, in San Francisco, because I don't even
Right, they
know
lived
what
in
I was
Berkeley.
doing there,
Yeah.
but she had enough money that she could rent a rehearsal studio. And I don't know why I would have been there, but George Raines was there.
Right,
And of
that's
course,
right.
So we ended up being pals and musical,
I forgot about that. He was
comrades.
in the band. Yeah. And he ended up with Boss too.
She had a great keyboardist, Wayne Talbot.
Yeah.
I think he succumbed to junk or something.
Right. He recorded with
bad.
James Cotton too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was so impressed. I'm thinking, God, I wish I could afford to have musicians like that. But that finally happened.
Yeah.
And I've been spoiled with the best because I couldn't get on stage and sing if it was lousy.
Right.
I just couldn't get.
I couldn't
do it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I have to be inspired.
Yeah.
And I've been so lucky to have such inspirational musicians in my bands.
You have, yeah. I look at it like I worked long enough with the lousy ones to earn my place to work with the good ones.
That's how it works.
That is totally how it works. You got to go up through the ranks, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's paying your dues.
So now, how did you meet Clifford? So you said he was from Port Arthur.
Yeah, he was from Port Arthur. So he heard some great music on that border with Louisiana, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so
Clifton and guys like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so when people like that came to Austin, it was like, well, where's the blues? Or where are we going to hear this or that? And there weren't that many options.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't.
Did he know Clifton Chenier from Port Arthur?
No,
Did he
no, I don't believe so. But he had enough sense to open the club with Clifton. Right. Clifton didn't get around that much. Most people out of New Orleans and
Louisiana,
they didn't feel any need to go anywhere else.
Right, because they could work so much.
Right.
Right.
And they could find musicians and all that.
Exactly.
So it all made sense,
Yeah. But so what inspired him to open a blues club?
He was crazy and loved blues. He got bitten by the blues bug, and he knew that there were some people in Texas, but there were a whole lot of people in Chicago. And so he started communicating with them.
So would he just cold call people? We're talking about Clifford Antone, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
it owns Antones and owned Antones in Austin.
Yeah, there was no official booking person at the time. I mean, I had ideas and I was helpful about being able to reach people, other artists.
So you would call
I
people?
Met over the years, like Albert Collins. I met him, and I remember him being at the Ash Grove at some point.
Now this is who?
Albert Collins.
Oh, okay.
I think the first time I saw him was at the Ash Grove.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Canned Heat brought him in.
Okay.
They brought him to L.A.
Yeah.
That was the deal.
Yeah.
So you got him to come to Antone's.
Yeah. Antone's didn't have the money to bring people with their bands.
Right.
So that meant we had to have a really good house band.
Right.
And so that ended up being the Fabulous Thunderbirds.
Right.
Because Jimmie Vaughan and Kim Wilson were completely dedicated to blues, obviously. And they had done their homework and they could back up people.
And you were in that band, right?
No, but since I was part of the house,
right,
and they were the house band, I would get up regularly and sing whatever. They were a good idea. That was a great idea to have a band like them.
So was that your idea or Clifford's idea? Do you remember? Both of you?
I don't, because like I said, Clifford had gone out and made it a point to hear blues and the musicians and see what they were up to, and he realized that they didn't really have a good venue, a good outlet for what they were trying to do.
Right.
So he's thinking, okay, we got all these students, 40,000 students in Austin. He said, if I make the ticket prices cheap and I can get these guys to come down from Chicago and elsewhere for a week instead of a one-night stand, or at least
easier for them.
At least 4 days, let's say, then maybe they'll kind of get it, and they'll see they'll hear the masters doing this music and they'll be impressed, and then they'll understand what the Fabulous Thunderbirds and other people like me,
Right.
you know, and others are trying to do. And that's what happened.
So
They
in a
came
sense,
to appreciate it.
in a sense, he was kind of promoting both, you know, acts like the T-Birds and you and Stevie and the Cobras, all these groups, and kind of the idea was if I can bring these older guys together, everyone's going to gain.
Exactly.
The old guys are going to have a payday.
And then
the young guys
got to
get an education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to open for those
Right.
people a
And
lot.
you got to know them,
Exactly.
you got to work with them.
Yeah.
And so
they
it's
would
kind of
hang
a
out.
win-win for everyone.
Exactly. They'd hang out in the daytime because usually they didn't have anything particular to do in the daytime.
Right.
Unless you were Otis Rush and wanted to get some cool cowboy boots and vests and such, you know.
Would you guys take them around?
Sure. Sugar Bear did. He was really good at that.
Yeah.
So
Now was Sugar Bear, was he the doorman or
he
the
was the MC.
the MC? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
wonderful person.
All
Miss him so much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was tickled when I saw the new Antones
Right.
downtown
Right.
with the huge shoe shine
Right.
uh,
Right.
set up from Kansas
Yeah.
that they got from Kansas City.
And then with Antones Records, did you have something to do with starting that? You and
Yes,
Clifford?
indeed. I had a selfish reason.
Yeah.
Clifford was gone at the time.
Was that when he was? Yeah.
Yeah,
away?
he was at school,
Right.
and so anyway, I had recorded a record, and thanks to actually a person who came, a woman who was a fan and came into her family and inheritance, a big inheritance, and she didn't want to just whatever fritter it away, or she wanted to do something that would last, and so she loaned me enough money to get I wasn't going to just put my record out with that money.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be more
a lot of records.
I wanted it to mean more than
An
that.
actual label. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I started the label Antones,
Mm-hmm.
and like I say, selfishly, I had a record ready to go.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of music business in Austin at the time. And there certainly was. I mean, progressive country was big, you know, and
Right.
that Doug song,
Yeah.
who was not categorizable at all. He was just every aspect of Texas music, country,
Right. He was all of it.
and
Yeah.
jazz. Even he could hang in there.
He could do everything.
And
he was
and
amazing.
blues. So
He was amazing.
So thank you, because he was just a wonderful person and really encouraged all of us to do what we
And
were
he
doing.
recorded
And
for you guys,
He'd been in
right?
Nashville, you know, and it was Willie who he'd kind of, when he decided to leave the Nashville scene, Willie Nelson,
Yeah.
he came down there and he said, I think he went back to Nashville and he said, you know, I'll tell you where you should be looking for artists. You should go to
Really?
Austin.
Really?
He said, they got some great artists there, and they're right for the picking, you know, you're just in, you know, different genres.
And they didn't listen?
Oh, not that we knew of.
Yeah,
but
right.
actually Jerry Wexler came to Austin.
Hmm.
That was why, because Doug had a record on Mercury or Atlantic or one of that group.
Right.
Yeah, but I swear we were pretty raw, and I mean, we could play those songs, but we didn't have good intros or outros.
You needed a producer.
We just sort of.
You needed a producer. Yeah.
Exactly.
It seems like you guys caught fire by 1980. It was getting to be a hotter and hotter scene.
Yeah.
In terms of, the music down there blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember when Stevie Ray got signed, like about 81. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right. I should know.
Yeah.